Hello, my friends. I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we are looking at Cycle 10. And of the event roles, ship traffic roles, and things that I rolled up in the beginning of Cycle 10, one of them was a guild warship arrives, and I established during that event role that it was a new guild. So one of the first things that you need to do is to determine the hull class. That decides the size and the scale of the warship. And the basic rules say that you apply, for this particular kind of role, you apply your House Lord's modifier. So as a squire, that's the lowest ranked noble in the game, you have a -50. This is to help prevent you from getting overwhelmed by stuff that's outside your scale of ability to cope with as a house. This scale adjusts, so as you increase in rank, your percentage roll decreases to a certain point. This way you can get, at that point you can get the whole gamut of sizes. What we do not want is a Star Destroyer sized warship showing up and causing problems, because we wouldn't be in no position to do nothing but kiss our butt. So what we're going to do then is we have under the Galactic Commerce chapter for Starship Traffic Rolls, we're going to use this as many planets generate ship traffic rolls, as do a number of encounter charts. So this rule says otherwise. Roll to determine the hull class, type, ship, and ownership. So this would apply to just about any ship that comes in and ship traffic rolls, unless the particular result of the roll says otherwise. So in this case, we would roll randomly to determine the size of the ship. So we know it's a warship, and we are going to roll on this D100 and -50, with 1 being the minimum. So I rolled a 64, so a -50, that would be 14. So a 14 is a Class 3. So a Class 3 warship, and I believe that is a Corvette. We shall take a look at the blueprint guide, just to be specific, so we're on the same page. So when we look at the blueprint guides for constructing ships, the ship hulls run the gamut from a Tech 1 to Tech 10, and there's a number of variations in the Tech 8, 9 category to spread it out by tonnage based on tens of or 1,000 tons or something like this. So a Tech 1, which is the smallest warship or ship class hull, is 100 tons and is roughly a little bigger than the Millennium Falcon, if you want to make it from that kind of perspective. Maybe, it's just how the displacement is. And 100 tons is the maximum amount of component weight that it can carry, not the maximum amount of mass push, which is a different set of parameters. So a 100-ton ship, for example, potentially can carry and push upwards of 300 tons of stuff, depending on how much ship sublight drives and how many star drives you have embedded in it. And of course, the hull class limits how much of that you can have and what category. So certain higher tech categories, for example, are actually more efficient micro versions of the early tech stuff, which means you can potentially have a Tech 7 star drive and a Tech 1 hull and actually gain tonnage space-wise instead of losing it. So anyway, we're looking at a Class 3 hull, which under the category here stands for Corvette. So the standard operations for some potential options. And this is from years of players being inventive with the rules and the mechanics set up with the equipment we have, and creating literally hundreds of variants based on these hulls. So the opportunity for constructing and designing your own ship is quite large and quite wide-ranging. So some of the examples that you can get on a Tech 3 hull is the standard, in a warship category, is the standard Corvette, a fleet escort, where move and range should be equal to those that it escorts, a raider or long raider patrol. Weapons should be energy-based to extend operations life, etc. A pocket carrier with a single small craft bay and launch base system combo gives it the ability to support starfighters, but at the cost of maneuverability, movement, range, and defense. Keep in mind, pocket carriers are better used for supporting system defense boats, minus the LBS, or as assault shuttle transports in non-combat situations. A number 3 category, or a number E possible variant would be a special operations, like specials, but geared towards supporting special operations. You have to be a little, think of a Corvette that's tricked out specifically for inserting and inserting and extraditing special op teams, as an example. Uh, and of course the F class, which is special duty, which is a courier, science, medical vessel, a mining ship, of that sort of thing. So when we look at the class 3 primary design principles, is maneuverability, move, i.e. the jump capacity, range, i.e. jump capacity, and offense and defense. So I mean, there are quite a few variations. Now on a Tech 3 hull, the possible variations for a freighter would be for move capacity, jump, range, specifics. So you would have a standard cargo transport, or a bulker, also known as in-region freighter, armored transport. Now when we talk about in-system, this would be the equivalent to a Battletech dropship. These ships do not have FTL capability. They do not have star drives within them, and they don't need Navi computers because of it. They can use basic computer systems to navigate within a known solar system. So these ships are exchanging more the tonnage that the drop ships, or I mean the star drives and the Navi computers would require, to either add additional space for troops or cargo, or additional space for weapon systems and shielding, that kind of thing. So this would allow you to have much bigger ships toting these things around. In some classes we call them tugs, because that's almost pretty much the only thing they do. It's an analog to how starship travel move, or in Battletech operates. You basically have a jump ship that's a tug. Its primary sole purpose is to move drop ships from one solar system to another, and that's its exact primary and only purpose. So you can go that route. An armored transport, i.e. a military troop or vehicle hauler, built around a single small craft bay, etc., in a barracks living deck, etc. A small passenger liner, a star tug or pod hauler, and i.e. specials, mining, construction, medical science, yachts, etc. So there's a lot of options and opportunities there for that Tech 3 hull. So in this case, we're looking at a Class 3 warship, which is a Corvette. And I'm not going to break it down and create it here. I mean, that would be a video I could do, but I'm not really keen on doing it. I have a score of Corvettes already pre-made in my little thingamabob over there. But what I would like to know is more, not just the Corvette, but what I want to know is what guild. Now, like I said, I had established that it was a new guild. So we're going to look at page 76, which is dealing with some of the guild entry stuff, and take a look at what we got here. Okay. I have, once again, of course, a chart. I have several charts. This vast chart here is for known guilds. So if I rolled randomly and say, okay, 72, oh, that would just falls under new guild. Let's say, here's 76. Blue Norse Weapons Guild, or BNW. They produce weapons, combat systems, small military small craft, component shipyards, repair bays, and related support industries. BNW is a large guild headquartered in the Taliban in the Duchy of Cairns. It has operations across the Sagittarius Reach and is a primary builder of warships for the minor house of Ban, which is the Cairns Duchy. As an example. So, and we'll look on to one that comes up frequently, the Galactic News Burst Network, or the GNBN, News Media Entertainment. GNBN has a division in communications, navigational maintenance, exploration, mercenary commands, and related industries. GNBN is a pan-galactic guild with no close peer in the area of news, information, and dissemination services. Headquarters on Venus and the Sol system, GNBN is ranked as the top 10 most influential guilds in settled space. So that's literally a galactic scale guild, and it is quite a powerhouse. It is CNN on steroids. There are been conjecture and speculation in the past between some of my players that perhaps GMBN is actually an extended propaganda machine of the Imperium government, of the Terran Emperor, which is quite possible. We never went down that rabbit hole, but as a guild, they're a powerhouse unto themselves, and have been known to pop into war zones with armed escorts for their correspondence. I did a story piece for a number of years. I was doing something called the Galactic News Burst, which was a little news zine for my players. And one of the events that took place was a massive combat that was taking place between the Imperium Navy and a known world infested by bugs, and a la Starship Troopers. And GNBN sent some correspondence there to, be there on site. And it's to protect them, they included battalions of armored troops and war knights and warships. That's how GNBN rolls when they need to. So that's just an example. So in this case, my event role said that it was rolling a new guild. So that's what this tiny little chart here's for. So what we're going to determine technically is the size of the guild. And then all the other details from there on out will be fleshed out either through interactions and negotiations, events, or as me just deciding this is what I want. So we're going to just roll, and there's no modifier applied. Just straight up. So I have a 4, which is a small regional technocrat guild, which is ironic because to my knowledge there are no guilds in my region. So this is suggesting that perhaps there is a guild operating somewhere within what's considered my region of space, and that's something I would like to know, because A, I want to tap them, B, I want them to understand that as the house lord of my house, I am now the de facto government ruler of this region, and they now owe me some kickback potentially. It also allows me to find out potentially where their operating is, where their base of operations is. That implies that there is an inhabited planet somewhere in my region that's not controlled by a nobility, which can be a little prickly of an issue itself, because that it is potentially guild operated. We don't know what's going on. We're going to find out at some point. So we rolled on the guild, new guild, and I rolled a whopping 4, which makes, like I said, a small regional. I suppose I can make the argument that it could be in a neighboring region. So my map is adjacent to another map, and all those other maps surrounded above and below. So potentially this guild could be in one of those adjacent regions, which would imply that once again it's an independent, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because what I really want, and most players want at some point, is to locate a fairly decent sized trade world that's within reasonable distance. If it takes you 3 or 4 cycles of maximum jump to get to it and sell with stuff and then return after buying stuff, that's fine. If it's beyond that, it becomes problematic. Ideally, you don't really want it next door to your region, because then that can become too much of an opportunity for money haul. That's a matter of particular choice and how you would prefer to play out your game. So this is regional technocrat led. Okay, just briefly on technocrats. The guild system of your wealthy individuals, your merchants, those 6 individuals that help fund your trip are all platinums. That's the equivalent of a squire in the merchant community. So the technocrat is the next tier up. That makes them a little bit bigger, a little bit more pull, more resources available to them. That's how that plays out. So now we have, like I said, we have a guild warship. We don't know exactly what potentially it's here doing, so I might want to send somebody to negotiate with the captain to find out if we can find out who the guild is. Are they tied to some of these other guild related stuff? Because that's something I would like to know. Remember, we had several guild ships show up, a badly damaged guild freighter that the captain just sold to the house. We don't know that the captain actually had the right to do that. which could be a situation if we allowed it to develop. We don't know that they weren't rival guilds. We also don't know exactly what the guild represents. What type of guild is it? What is it that what their bread and butter is? Because that's of interest to us too. Because if they have a manufacturing facility or research or natural resource development systems within adjacent to our region or within our region, once again, we'd like to know about it because we might be able to find ways to exploit it because that's how this stuff works, right? Okay, so that's one for that one. And until next time, you guys have a great week. Going on, my friends, this is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell anybody else that's in the gaming industry or gaming fandom that says, hey, this is a channel worth checking